Hello guys, today we're going to have some lawn mowing outside. That's annoying. Guys, today we're going to have a look at DeEdger. It's a plugin from Ohlhorst Digital and Tokyo Dawn Labs, the collaboration. And it's a clever little plugin. Now, I don't know if any of you guys that are watching now remember the video I did on soothe, which was a plugin that it took a really narrow band and it sort of did what a dynamic EQ does, but on really specific areas. So you had a really narrow band, and then if any spikes came through, even at like a single frequency, it would dynamically bring those out. But then if that spike wasn't there, it was just flat. And if that spike then appeared 10 frequency or 10 hertz up, it would then grab it there as well and pull it down. And it just worked on like a threshold basis, just across that really narrow band. That was also developed by a mastering engineer. This is also developed by a mastering engineer and then brought into the digital world. So they're doing a very similar thing, but they look a little bit different. DeEdger here is much simpler, but is doing a very, very similar job. Now, the Soothe video, which was this, that I tested out on like bits of a mix and some brass, the instrument brass. This I'm just going to test out on a full mix, bits of a vocal. So I had to work really hard in this track to get the vocal good because the recording wasn't great, and just seeing if I could improve it that way. And we're just going to go over how it works and what you can effectively do with it. Hope it's helpful, guys. Let's see you inside Logic. Go.
Hello guys, so here we are in my project here. This is the track edit for the track Late Drive from the Lessons Learned album. If you want to hear that, I'll pop in the link below so you can hear it in the entirety to get some perspective on what we're going to look at here. Now, DeEdger is aimed at mastering, but essentially if you've got some harsh frequencies that are happening in a piece of audio, difference de-essing, you can use it on just about anything. I mean, the rules never really apply. Be creative, and if it sounds good, it is good. Simple philosophy. So what we're going to look at first is it on an entire mix. I'm just going to choose part of the track here. We'll just grab this bit here. I think should be about right for what we're looking to do.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said.
Cool, you get the idea. So what essentially DeEdger does is you can choose a single frequency, you've got a Q basis around it, and then you've got a depth. So obviously frequency selects the area it's going to work on, Q decides how broadly it's going to work on that particular area, and then depth decides by how much it's going to be reduced. Now what you can do straight away is turn on something called focus listen. That's going to focus on the frequency area here so we can listen to what we've got. Yeah, and on the headphones I'm using here, this particular version of the mix is when we were doing the edits. That 9.5 kilohertz area, that sounds a little bit too harsh. I think that's going to be a good area for us to work on. Now when we've got the focus listen on, we can adjust the Q as well. Yeah, so we can be nice and broad, we can really focus in on a really small area. And I feel that 1.4 there, that's grabbing it nicely. And then depth wise, that's going to effectively reduce the sound. So let's reduce it by around half. And see how even at a really high depth, it's quite a subtle effect. Let's take focus listen off. We'll disable the plugin and then we'll enable it, and hopefully we'll be able to hear that change, as subtle as it is.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like we've been down that road. I know it.
Brilliant. So we can hear it's just taking the edge off right in the top frequency there, and it's reducing it by quite an amount. Now you have this compensate function here, and what this is doing, it's compensating for that loss of transient. So what this is doing here is taking away transient, but only in that high frequency. So when you've got particularly sharp transients poking through, this is then taking them down by up to around 6 decibels for this particular part. And then compensate is bringing that area up to compensate, so it's giving you a little bit more volume as well. We should be able to hear the difference here because it's quite an extreme amount being removed.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like we've been down that road. I know it could be different.
It's very, very subtle, but it is doing the effect that we're after. I think this would be much easier if we were working on speakers, in my opinion, working in headphones right now, so I can record this, and it's quite a difficult thing. Completely random, cut all of that. So it is very subtle, but you can hear it working. It's very, very small. If you listen to the right hand side on that shaker is where it's most obvious what the effect is. We'll disable it and I'll enable it.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like we've been.
It's just controlling that little shaker up there just a little bit more. Now we could make this a slightly different effect. You see we have these 3 LED type lights at the top here. We have L plus R, L/R and M/S. Now L plus R would mean it would respond as if it was sort of a mono signal, okay? So it would assume they are both the same. The L/R is working independently, and you can see that currently because the shaker is that clear thing just panned ever so slightly to the right, and you see the reduction happens more significantly on the right, for example.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said.
Yeah, so we can see that happening. And then M/S would be mid and side. So it would take the mono information and it would take the side information separately and work on those independently. So that could also be very useful in a mastering stage where you've perhaps got some harsh S's on the vocal, but you don't want to affect the rest of the instrumental, and the vocal is mainly going to be in the center. So you can affect the mid rather than the sides. In this case, it's an instrument that we're looking at, so the setting we're currently on, the L/R, would be the best. So now we're going to try DeEdger on just the vocal, and I've put this on the vocal channel right at the end of the chain here. And we're just going to do the same again. We're going to focus listen, find sort of an unpleasant area, and we're going to adjust that from there.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like we've been down that road. I know it could be different. I know.
Now by default, all the knobs on here are stepped, which makes it quite easy to drag around and make quick decisions. However, you can press Control and then you're able to move in between these points. And I think that's going to be useful for what we're looking for here. If you see that crazy movement that's going on, that's not playing nice with a Magic Mouse.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like.
So there for me. So bang on 3 kilohertz. What else you can do? If you click just here, you can enter any value and it will snap directly to that point for you. So let's reduce that slightly. Take off focus listen. We're going to leave compensate enabled. But we're also going to do L plus R so it works to the whole vocal.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like
that's really controlling that unpleasant frequency at 3 kHz now.
if only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know it would be better. And now it's like I don't care anymore.
So it's a really, really subtle effect, but it's improved so much. And you know, 100 tiny subtle differences across a mix are what make a mix sound great. So I can see myself using this a lot in the future, especially when I end up with vocals in this sort of condition. If I disable all the other plugins on this particular chain, for example, this is the vocal that I was left with even after. So we made a huge difference.
If only we could get back in time and take back all those things that we've said. I know it would be different. I know
So
it
introducing
would
the
be
plugins
better.
back in here.
And now it's like I don't care anymore. Feeling like we've been down that road. I know it could be different. I know it could be better.
And so that's an introduction to DeEdger and what it can do. It's very, very useful. I'd say if you have seen OEK Soothe as well, doing the same thing, but this is a lot easier to set, I find. Very much enjoying it. I will be using it a lot in the future. It's a very subtle corrective tool. If you guys are interested how I got the vocals from sounding to what I originally had to work with, which was almost nothing, to at least this point, which was listenable and okay to put out as a track, comment down below. I'm more than happy to do that video for you. May even do it as a live stream and we can all have a chat and discuss what we could have done differently. Guys, I will see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was somewhat entertaining for you, and if it was, please bang a like on the video, subscribe to the channel and comment down below. See you on the next one.